good evening if you're joining me on Tuesday evening for my live this week. I had a week off last week from doing my regular lives, and it just gave me a chance to have a breather and have a rethink about new schedules and activities for the summer months. So good evening and welcome. I can see a few people just joining me now, so I'll just say hello. Hi Sylvia and hi Mum, my two early birds, thanks for joining me. It's Izzy Shashinsky here from Izzy's Crafty Bees, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based in Nottinghamshire. So thank you for joining my regular live. And I was just saying, yes, I had a week off last week just to have some time out to have a think about rescheduling and just a programme of activities through the summer months. Now as the weather has improved and I want to be spending more time outdoors, and just how to balance my time with my craft demonstrations and other commitments outdoors. And yes, and spending some more time with my husband, going away in our caravan to Norfolk as we have a seasonal pitch there. So thank you. I can see quite a few people have joined me now. So I'm moving back to evening demonstrations, and I will be doing a regular monthly online class. Probably I'm aiming for the last Wednesday in every month, and the brilliant thing about doing online classes is that we are not dependent on things that may disrupt situations, shall we just say, things like shipping, as I think everybody is experiencing difficulties and delays with shipping around the world. So I'm aiming for the last Wednesday in every month, and I'm aiming to get bookings for the first Friday of every month, so that I can plan and prepare. And I'll be posting more dates online, so just watch this space. But for the moment, I will just say a few words of welcome. I can see quite a few people have jumped on now and are joining me, so I'm going to get cracking. So this evening I'm going to be saying a fond farewell to a couple of my favourite stamp sets that are retiring, and I've been keeping a very close eye on the last chance sale that is occurring at the moment. As you know, our current annual catalogue will be ending next Monday, the 3rd of May, and our new annual catalogue will be starting and go live next Tuesday, the 4th of May. So I will say may the 4th be with you, just because I can. And I've been keeping a very close eye on what's still available and what's actually sold out. And one of the stamp sets I wanted to use this evening has unfortunately gone completely. So there are still a few left. So I will be highlighting a couple of stamp sets that I'll be saying a fond farewell to. And I'll be also using a couple of stamp sets that are in the current catalogue, and they will be continuing over into the new catalogue. And I will also be introducing you live to the new in colours. So we've got some old going, some existing staying, and some brand new that you've not seen, or you will have seen, because demonstrators all over the world are sharing some new stuff now, and in particular the new colours. But I wanted to have a play with them live this evening. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to also be casing. So we've talked lots and I've demonstrated lots about casing, different designs. That case stands for copy and share everything. So if you see a design, there is absolutely nothing wrong at all in copying it. If you've got that creative mental block and you just need to make a card or make a project, you can find a design that you like using that stamp set. And right from the very beginning of me teaching in classes, I've always said to my class attendees, please use Google. It's a really good resource. Type in the name of the stamp set and then click on the tab for images. That's a really easy way of getting some inspiration. And of course, the other way of getting inspiration is to follow your favourite demonstrator across social media, and to use Pinterest. But I'm still aware that there are people who are not familiar with Pinterest and not familiar with how to use it. So Google is still a really great search engine. Type in the name of your stamp set, hit that tab at the top that says images, and you will be you will be supplied with a lot of images of projects that have already been made. So nothing wrong with copying, nothing wrong with sharing. And I'm actually going to be copying a greeting card that my mum sent to me some time ago, and she reminded me it was her that sent it to me. And it's not actually a Stampin' Up card, it's a greetings card that was bought from a shop, and I just really love the design. So I'm going to be showing you how I'm going to case that card this evening using a technique called collage stamping, and that's where we use lots of different images and we create a collage to build up a finished image, and I'll be talking to you about that as we go along. Just before we get going, let me tell you about things that have made me happy since I was last here demonstrating live to you. And of course, you'll have seen my post on Facebook if you follow me that we had a weekend break, a long weekend break, because I don't actually work Mondays and Tuesdays. In Norfolk, we have our caravan on a permanent seasonal pitch in Norfolk, and we haven't been able to go there since last October. So we did have a long weekend the weekend before last, and it was absolute bliss just to have that complete break. Gave me lots of headspace, and I'm really excited about plans and things that I've got in the pipeline to share with all of you. So as I stamp away, I want you to type in the comments things that have made you happy since I was last here, and chat amongst yourselves in the comments, and I will try and follow the comments as we go along. As I'll be seated for most of the time, I'll keep having a quick look because my camera is just slightly above eye level, so I'll try and keep up with comments as we go along, and then I will come back to camera at the end and finish off. But for now, let me pop my reading glasses on, let me spin the camera around, and let's get stamping. So here we are as always, just bear with me while we do some wibbling about. And here is the greetings card that I'm going to pop an extra light on, and let's just have some extra light. And I will of course just remind you of the current host code. So this is like a coupon code if you're ordering from me online and you're not ordering direct, and your order is over £25 but less than £99, and I'm saying £99 for a reason, then please use the host code. And this host code will be closing at the end of this week. So if you're a regular customer, you'll see that this host code on my Facebook page will change. So that's enough of that. So this is the really beautiful card that my mum sent me quite some time ago. It's got some sparkle on it as well. I hope you can see that, just bits of glitter. I really love this because I absolutely adore birds and I adore flowers. And Mum knew that it would appeal to me, and so she sent it to me. Thanks, Mum. And I have already cased this design previously on some customer bags. So I'm just having a quick look at comments. I'm slightly distracted. Yes, Sylvia, I saw your sexy tutties. They look lovely. That's what made you happy this week. That was, they look gorgeous. I really love them. And Catherine's getting in her new craft room. That must make you happy. What's not to be unhappy about that? That's fantastic. I want to see what you've been making, Catherine, as well. So please share with me your makes. So yes, I already cased this for some customer bags. I think it was earlier this year. It might have even been last year. But I absolutely love this design. And I keep cards that inspire me in a box. And often I rummage through and get them out and have a look. So that's what I'm going to case. I'm going to make a card with this. And the stamp sets I'm going to use are Beautiful Friendship, which is retiring and going completely. It's been one of my favourites. It's been very well used. I absolutely love it. It's in the last chance section in my online store, and it's still at full price at £20. And the item number for that is 149252. So if you're searching for it, you can actually use the search icon, the little magnifying glass on my online store, and just type in that item number. And that's going to be, by next Tuesday, that will be gone, retired forever. And the other stamp set I'm going to use, I'm just going to pick some elements out of this, is the Floral Essence stamp set, and that's 149450, and that's actually reduced from £16 to £12.50 at the moment on the last chance items online. You can also order any of these direct with me. I will be placing an order on Friday, Saturday of this week. A couple of other stamp sets that I'm going to use that are in the current annual catalogue and will be carrying over into the new annual catalogue are Free as a Bird and Forever Fern. So we don't have to cry over losing these. These are going to be staying with us. So that's fantastic. And the new in colours that I'm going to share are these 5, and I absolutely love every single one of them. So, Polished Pink. I don't know whether, Sylvia, did you have pink polish on your toenails? I can't remember the colours, but they looked fantastic. So Polished Pink, Soft Succulent, Evening Evergreen, Fresh Freesia and Pale Papaya. And when I got these out, I realised that actually a lot of those colours are in this card. We've maybe got some reds, deeper reds, but we've certainly got Polished Pink here and here. And we've certainly got Soft Succulent and maybe a bit of Evening Evergreen. We've got some Pale Papaya going on. We maybe don't have much of this Fresh Freesia, but we've certainly got quite a few of those tones in this. So I'm going to just take this as a theme, and I'm going to stamp and just use this as an inspiration, and I'm going to stamp something similar. So I am actually going to use some white cardstock just as a starting point. So I'm going to get myself a sheet of white cardstock. I'm just going to pop my stamp pads just to one side and my card, and I'm going to get my trimmer. And I'm actually going to have a look at the size of this, and I think I might actually case the size. It's a nice square card, or we can make it square anyway. So let's have a look at the measurements. And it's 15 by 17, so I'm going to make it 15 by 15, I think. Let's go for that. That's be a nice large card. So I'm going to trim my full piece of A4 down to 15 centimetres, and then I'm actually going to, because I know that A4 is just short of 30, I'm going to score it at just short of 15, and we'll just go from there. And actually I've just changed my mind because I've realised this is regular Whisper White, so I'm actually going to trim that at 15 rather than score it. And I'm going to use that as a layer on some thicker cardstock. We'll probably just pop it on a colour. So let's work with that square as our base for stamping. And I'm going to just take a seat now. And we'll bring back in, let me just check I'm in shot. Yes, I'm all in shot there. That's lovely. Need to just keep an eye on that, because every time I use my camera, we end up in a different place. So I'm going to keep this one in shot, hopefully, and I'm going to stamp onto this one. I'm going to get a few blocks. I'm just going to gather a few blocks and pile them up in front of me. And we'll start off with some images from the Beautiful Friendship stamp set. And I'm going to bring in some of the flowers from Floral Essence. So I'm going to start by looking at some of the floral images in there, and I'm going to use this image, this rose here. So we'll just pop that on a block. Now, photopolymer, and I'm likely to be using a mixture of photopolymer and red rubber. Can't remember what we are. Oh, Floral Essence's photopolymer, Forever Fern and Free as a Bird are both red rubber cling. So that's quite nice. So I'm going to use my Stampin' Pierce mat to give me that spongy spongy surface that we don't have with photopolymer straight to block. So I'm going to use this one. Let's have a look. We'll use this floral image, and we'll just add a few little images. I think that one's just like a little dotty one that would go in the centre of this one probably. Let's get some leaves and pop those on a block. And I usually just start when I'm doing collage. I really enjoy collage stamping. I usually just start by getting a few images out. And that is, oh, I'm going to use this one that reminds me of wisteria. I will use this one because it's quite handy. Let's pop that on that block. I'm not going to use this large one at the moment, just for the minute. I may come back to that, and for the moment I'm going to use the smaller of these two flowers. Ooh, big blocks. This is the problem when you do collage, you always run out of blocks, but we just use whatever we've got. Definitely want these. What I'm looking at in this image is that we've got some outlines as well. We've got some quite sort of plain flowers, and then we've got these lovely outline images as well, so like pen lines almost. So I'm going to use the leaves from this stamp set, and this is one of the reasons why I chose this stamp set, because we've got some outline images as well. So I may use this big flower. I'm just going to see how I get on. I'm also going to use these lovely flowers as well as the bird and this leaf from here. So I'm going to just pick some little, I might just have to do some swapping about here. Not that it really matters. I've got some little tiny blocks somewhere. Let's see if I can get this block out of here. It's a case of every block available we'll use, and then we'll get stamping. I quite like that leaf there that's got an outline. And we'll chuck that on that block there. So I'm looking at the original image, and we've got a diagonal going on. So this is what I'm thinking. We've got a diagonal going on, and I want to sort of build up this kind of triangular pattern. And I'm going to start off with quite a light colour, just to start with. And I will be adding black in with the 5 core in colours. But I'm going to start off with pale papaya, and I'm just going to stamp a couple of flowers to begin with. And this is when I would normally run out of space, but I'm going to try and be quite tidy so that you can see what's happening. So I'm just going to randomly pick this rose shape from the beautiful French shape, and let's just dive in and let's just start stamping. Lovely colour. So we'll have that one, and I'm also going to get my chamois, and I'm going to clean my stamps as I go along, because the other dangerous thing when you're doing collage stamping is that you go back to an image and you end up dipping it in the ink, in a different colour ink. So I'm going to go with a different colour now. Let's go with the lovely polished pink. I'm also going to grab, let me find it, a scrap pad so that I can do some stamp off, stamp on stamping. So let me just organise my space, because I want you to continue to be able to see this image. Ooh, I will run out of space, I know. So I'm going to stamp off and then stamp on, and just see what kind of colour we get there. So a nice pale pink, and now I'm going to do the same flower, and we'll just have that in full strength just because we can. And I'm just going to stamp it. I'm going to try not to think too much. I haven't practiced this before. I'm just totally going in and just building up this image. Now I feel I want some foliage, so I'm going to go with these solid leaves, and I'm going to go with soft succulent to start with. And I've got 3 leaves, and I'm going to go full strength, and I'm going to go up here because I'm wanting to build this triangle. And this is just the first project I'm going to do. Once I've done this project, I'm going to then do another piece of collage stamping using the same stamp sets, but I'm going to stamp onto DSP. Now, the reason for this is because in one of our demonstrator Facebook groups, we have a weekly challenge, and the weekly challenge this week was to stamp onto, make a card using DSP and stamp onto the DSP. And for some people that was just, you know, no challenge really. Some people like doing that, and for others it's quite a challenge. Now, it's something that I don't do that regularly. I've just spotted this, but that's no problem. We're going to get rid of that splodge. If you can't see it, there's a splodge there from my finger. It's just something I've not done very much of, is stamping direct onto DSP. So I'm going to have a go. Why not? And I know it's something that somebody who is watching felt challenged about. I'm not naming anybody because it's not a name and shame or an embarrassment. It's just something that, you know, they mentioned was a challenge to them. So that's absolutely fine. So we're going to have a go. We're going to have a go this evening. Now, what should we do? We need some more flowers. Let's pop another flower in here. Now, what have I got? I quite fancy this one. Shall we have this one in pink? Got my polished pink over here. Let's see what it looks like. That's rather dark, but let's go for it. Let's pop that one down here. What I really love about collage stamping is the randomness. Total randomness. That block's in my way. And I've just turned this. So I've stamped it that way down there, and I've just turned it. And we'll just keep building this up. So has anybody watching this evening had a go at collage stamping previously? I've just got this little one here, and I'm going to just put some colour into the centre of that. Anyone had a go at collage stamping before? Anybody had a go at stamping on DSP before and had any good results? And I'll come and have a look at comments in a minute. We'll see what we're all up to. And let's do some more down this side. Let's have a think. What can we do down this side? Let's have another flower of some sort. We need something to fill out. Maybe we could have a look in here. This is quite a nice big image, but maybe we don't need all of it. So why don't we pop this on this big block, and why don't we just sponge a bit of it? Just grab a sponge. It's not a particularly clean sponge, but hey. What colour? We've not done too much of this, so let's see if we can add some pale papaya just to a section of that big. I'm hoping that that's coming across okay on camera. So I'm just sponging ink just to a section of that big stamp, and we'll just see what we get. Give it a huff, and we'll just try and fill in some of this area here. Looks a bit grubby, but it's not come out exactly pale papaya. I'm wondering if that's not very clean. But it's still a colour, and it still looks quite nice. That's fine, and we'll do some stamping over, and it does disguise that little blob there. So we'll do some more stamping over, and we'll go back into pale papaya with a little flower, and we'll just drop that on top. And we'll just build that up. I'm going to clean that because I'd rather like that flower in a different colour. I think I'd rather like that in a purple, which is fresh freesia. Let's fill in some of these white spaces. And that's all I'm thinking as I'm going along, is just, can you see this flower here has an image over the top? I quite like that look. And one of the other images that I wanted to grab, actually, so remembering that we're actually keeping this forever fern, we've got lots of leaves, but I really like this speckled image. I find a speckled image is quite useful when you're collage stamping. Now, I said we'd run out of blocks, so sometimes when we run out of blocks we just double side them. And what I'm going to do now is start putting a pop of dark colour. So I'm going in with my evening evergreen. I'm just going to test that. That's quite nice, and I think that that will just allow us to fill in some of these other areas as well. Like so, and we will go back to perhaps that. Now I'm going to get this leaf image that's from the Free as a Bird, and that's more of an outline, so I'm going to go in with my evening evergreen and I'm going to pop some leaves. Let's have a look. Let's just go in. Let's just go right in over the top and see how they stand out. And what I might do here is, thinking ahead, is build up somewhere for the bird to actually perch. I'm quite liking that, so we'll go in and we'll maybe take that across there a bit. I'll just pop those there. I might even go a bit random and go upwards, like so. I'm trying to remember to clean each one as I go along, just in case I get giddy and grab one and just stick it in another ink pad. Now let me have a look at comments. So whenever I try random, it looks like it always comes out in a pattern. I don't have an artist's brain like you're always. Oh, bless you, thank you. Just random. I really challenge you to go random. Here's another leaf that's an outline. So I'm going to go back to, let me just have a think, what are we missing here? I think I'm hovering over that pink, so I'm going to go back to pink, and I'm just filling in some of the white areas that I can see. I don't think I've got an artist's brain either, Sue. I really do not think I have an artist's brain. I like pattern, and sometimes random actually is a challenge for me, because I quite like order and neatness, and I'm not one for symmetry. I'm definitely not one for symmetry. I think we're getting some kind of, you can see anyway, can't you? Some similarities I think are building up. How many colours? I've not done much with this soft succulent. Now this is my favourite. I think soft succulent and polished pink are my favourite two colours. I quite like this little image in this stamp, you know, this little brightness, and we've got quite an area of white here. So on this, the artist who's designed this hasn't gone too mad. I'm quite liking this little tiny pattern. Now what can I use? I've not used this one. I've not used this one, and I'm very tempted to go in with polished pink again. Or is it a bit too bright? Let's go in with soft succulent, shall we? Let's go in and just stamp on. And I'm being safe, you see, I just used half a bit there. Let's go in and stamp one there over the top. Why not? And I think we'll have one there. And what I want you to think about, if you are challenged with random stamping, is the end is not the pattern. The end is where your focal point is, and the focal point is the bird and the thank you message, and the bright colours are just what leads your eye in. So I'm feeling fairly happy with what I've got so far. I'm going to go in and stamp my bird. Now a little word about the bird. Oh, I'm a poet. Let's just close these ink pads up, because I'm actually going to stamp my bird in, I I'm just thinking out loud now, I don't really want to spend much time colouring in. I just want to stamp my bird and do something fairly quickly. And I liked this one because it actually looks like a bullfinch, so we could still emulate that. So I'm going to go in and stamp my bird. I like this one because he's actually facing the right way. So I'm going to have to steal a block from somewhere. Which one? Let's take that one. I'll just put the stamp over there. That's just about big enough. I'm going to stamp my bird in. Now I'm going to have to decide whether to go Memento and use blends or stays on. And I think I'm going to actually use Memento and use blends just for a bit of speed. So I'm going to ink this bird. Now I had a choice of two birds actually, because Birds and Branches stamp set is staying. But I decided to use Free as a Bird because it had floral images in and I didn't want to overwhelm everyone with a million stamp sets. So I'm going to stamp my bird here. There he is, and I'm going to very quickly add some colour. I'm not going to go too mad. I'm going to use my blends, and I've chosen dark smoky slate, not black, for the head. And I'm going to choose, what reds have I got? Let's have a look. Real red. And I'm just going to test the colours on my notepad, and that's fine. Even though it's not Whisper White, let's test them out on Whisper White. That's great. Happy with that. I'm just looking at the other greys I've got. I've got dark grey granite, so I might just bring that in as well. So I'm going to really quickly just add, and I'm just casing this, some grey underneath the body, just underneath the tummy and on the bottom of the tail. Maybe a bar of grey on the wing, a couple of bars of grey on the wing. I'm not going for biologically, or whatever the word is, accurate markings for this bird. I'm just adding a bit of colour just to, let's have a look, I think that bit of red there. I don't want it to look like a robin. That's what I don't want him to look like, because it's not a Christmas card. So let's just add a little bit of, we might even just cheekily, I can see a little bit of peachy colour. Let's have a look what other colours I've got. Calypso Coral, let's add a little bit of, and I'm not using any fancy colouring technique because there's no need to with blends, they will blend. Now what I will do, was that the grey granite? Smoky slate, let's just add another, and I'm absolutely certain that this is not probably coming out very well on camera, but I will hold it up closely when I've finished. Oh, he's looking cute. He's looking cute. What I might do is I just bring in, we have a colour lifter marker with the blends, and what this is, the main use for this is if you go over the lines you can push the colour back in, you can shift the colour around, but I find it also quite useful if you want to just soften the edges when you've done your blending. So I just want to maybe blur those edge lines into each other, and it kind of makes it look a little bit more watercolory than felt tip pen colouring, if that makes sense. So we'll just leave that to settle for a minute and we'll find a sentiment, and then we'll try and pull this card together. And I might go back in and do a few more bits and pieces. What I really loved about this card were these outlines, and these look like they're freehand drawn in a marker. Now I am certainly not that artistic and I'm not going to risk that, so that's why I looked for the outline leaf images that I've used there. I don't think I actually stamped this one in the end, so I could go in and just pop some of those leaves in, and we could do that. I could even do that in black, but I'm just going to ponder that for a moment. So I'm going to look through these stamp sets that we've got out and have a look at the sentiments. Now I've got quite a nice area, and I'm going to be brave and actually stamp the sentiments straight on. So I've got birthdays are the best days. That's quite a nice one because it's going to be very useful. All days are beautiful that begin with you. Now that's a nice shape and a nice size and would fit there. But for me, that's a bit gushing. I'd never even say that to anyone. All days are beautiful that begin with you. I wouldn't even say that to my mum. Sorry, mum, but I wouldn't. And you know I love you more than red wine. I mean, you know I do. So I think we're going to go with birthdays. And this one, to a friend that makes me smile. I always like this one because I kind of want to put the winky emoticon afterwards. To a friend that makes me smile. Winky emoticon. Cheeky. I'm definitely going to go with birthdays are the best days. It's a really lovely sentiment, and I thoroughly believe that birthdays are the best days. I do love a birthday, so I'm going to stamp that in black. So I'm going to use Memento. And is anybody shouting, but what about the gold and the glitter? I said that there was some glitter on this, so let's have a think and we'll see how we can bling it up. I'm just going to test this stamp because sometimes I find photopolymer needs really juicing up. So I'm just hoping that this is going to be straight. I'm really risking it. I'm just going to slide it a bit closer to me and I might get the top of my head in the shot, hopefully not. There we go. And what do we think, guys? We've done a reasonable job of casing this. Nothing other than stamping, stamping, stamping. So we've not done anything fancy. We've not done any masking. We've not done any particular crazy techniques here. In the past, I've demonstrated this kind of stamping, but we've done masking, we've done die cutting, we've done building up and going over the top with things, but this is just straightforward stamp, stamp, stamp over the top, collage, building it up. And it's something that I absolutely love doing. I really love when I stamp my customer bags. This is exactly the kind of thing that I would do. I would just get the paper bag in front of me and I would just get a whole load of colours together, a whole load of stamps together, and I would just stamp away. Now I am looking and I'm just thinking that we could do with a couple of little flowers up there, but I really don't know why. But what I might do is go back in with the speckles. You see, you can start to look at it too much. There's my speckles. I might go back in with my speckles, but this time I might go in with pink splodges. I might just have a few just up there for some reason. I felt that that flower was floating around on its own. There. I don't even know whether that's improved matters or not. Shall we try and put some sparkle on? So what can we do to add some sparkle? Well, we could chuck some sequins on. We could just chuck some gems on. Let's have a look what we've got in bling. I'd love to put some, oh, we could do some Wink of Stella. First of all, let's have some Wink. Have I got a really nice one? Some of my Wink of Stella pens are a bit, oh, they're a bit old. That one looks like it might have something in it. So we could do some, and that's not going to show up very well on the camera, but it will do when I hold it up. Let's do some. So all I'm doing is I've squeezed some of the Wink ink into the nib so I can see it's running, and then I'm just flicking with my pen top and splattering some of that Wink. You can do the same with your ink markers, and I think that's glittering a little bit. And what I might do is just have a very quick look in our current bling. And we might just chuck 1 or 2 rhinestones at this. I've got some champagne ones, subtle enough. Sorry about rustling. Double rustle of cellophane. So let's just chuck a few of these rhinestones. Let's see. I'll take your pick tool and just slide a couple of these on. Let's have a little one. Don't think about it, just pop them on. And stick. Let's go mad. There we are. Oh, they're hiding underneath. Let's go for it. There, we've got 5 gems there. So I'm going to just slide some of these inky stamps to one side. Actually, they should be fairly clean. And then we can actually finish this off and turn it into a proper card. So I'm going to reach behind me. Let's just remove that from there. And I'm going to reach for some in-colour cards, some new in-colour cards. Just drop some on the floor. So here we've got some soft succulent, that's my favourite, and we'll just lay that on there and we'll see what we think. And we've got Evening Evergreen, which should make it pop nicely because that's a nice dark colour. And we'll just try and decide which card base to put it on. That's going to be too small a square. So let's just have a look. I think it's going to have to be one of these 3. I almost think that loses some of the colours, just disappear, whereas that makes it really pop. And we could really go to town. Let me just have a look. Do I make it look easy, Mum? It is easy. I challenge you to have a go. Just gather some of your flowers together and some of your colours. And I do think with Stampin' Up, I didn't even go, so what I would perhaps normally do is for a colour scheme for a card is I might go to my Pinterest account and look at colour schemes that I've saved, but I've simply taken the 5 new in colours. They've been designed to go together, and for example I would never have put a peach with a pink or a peach with a purple, but they just work. They just absolutely work really nicely together. So you know, sometimes you can get inspiration from anywhere. It could be that you've got a t-shirt with a design on. It could be, I have a pair of pyjamas somewhere with lovely floral fabric design, and I keep meaning to bring them to my craft room and case the fabric. So wherever you see inspiration for a design, grab it and case it. I challenge you to just have a go. Just have a go. So I'm thinking Evening Evergreen or Soft Succulent, and I'm going to, Mum's got in there first, Soft Succulent, so I'm going to go with Soft Succulent as my next layer, and then I'm going to actually, let me have a think, because this is a 15cm by 15cm square, so I'm going to have to do something creative about the actual card blank size. It might be that I trim a very little bit off. Let's have a look. Let's have a think. Let's get a full sheet of Soft Succulent. She might have to be breaking open a new pack. Oh no, I'm okay. So let's go with a card blank. As I started off, and let's just trim that down to 15cm. And let's score this at 15cm. So I know that that's the maximum square card I can get from a piece of A4. And that's going to be just slightly too big. So I'm going to just very carefully trim a bit off of this. I'm going to take off, let's have a look. Ooh. Without losing the sentiment. I'm going going to take off a bit there, and I'm going to take off a bit of the bottom. A little bit at the bottom. Ooh. And let's see what we're left with measurement wise. 14 by 40. Oh, not bad, not bad for guesswork. And then we'll go with that and we'll call that done. I think we'll just stick that down and we'll call that a done deal. Now I do want to encourage you as well, if you have a go at this collage stamping, and for this one we've obviously stamped up a design with a sentiment and a focal point. Once you get confident at just randomly stamping, I want you to have a go on a full sheet of A4 white cardstock and just stamp all over and then chop it down, because that means that you've then created your own very own designer series paper, and you can chop it down into different sizes and use that as a background for a card. All you need to do is add a sentiment. There we go. So, same but different. I hope you can see that I've used my, oh, let's pull them down a bit, my inspiration from this and turned it into my own interpretation. And I'm really happy with that. So, next card, or next project, what we're going to do next is the challenge is to stamp onto designer series paper. And again, I haven't done any pre-work whatsoever this week. I haven't done any previous designs, so this is going to be again something either out of my imagination or even maybe casing a design that I've seen somewhere. But I've picked out two different designer series paper packs. Now this one is Peony Garden, and Peony Garden is a designer series paper that will be retiring from the annual catalogue next week. And I picked this one because I knew it had very pale pastel, so if you're at all apprehensive about stamping onto designer series paper, then go with something that's fairly neutral and has a fairly neutral pattern. So I would call, even though this is patterned, it could take another pattern stamping on top of it. I'll just keep that little scrap of that design out just to show you. Or this one almost looks plain anyway. I think that that's maybe just cheating a little bit, I'm not sure. The other pattern in here that I thought would be really good to stamp onto, and I've got a sneeze building up, so excuse me if I do sneeze, would be this marble design. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. I could feel that building up. It'd be a miracle if I only do one. I usually do 3 and then get Tourette's and swear. It's just, oh, I've managed to just do one on camera, yes. So this lovely patterned on this side, marble on this side. I think this one would be a really great starting point to stamp onto designer series paper. Then you've achieved the challenge that was set on the demonstrator page. The other pack of designer series paper that I've pulled out is the Sand and Sea designer series paper. This one is in the January to June mini catalogue, so won't be retiring until the end of June. But again, I pulled this one out because it has some really nice plain backgrounds on the back of the fancy design. So we've got one that looks like wet sand, so I liked that one. And then we have this one that has those beautiful watercolours on the back. I really liked that one as well. And there's another one that's similar, and that's this one. And I thought that they would make good options. So, but I also wanted to point out that a design like this with the starfish on could also be stamped onto this one that has starfish and seashells could easily be stamped onto. Less so with this because that's too much of a fussy image to start with. I think I'm going to go with a neutral one because I want to use the same in colours. So I'm going to go with the neutral one. I'm either going to go with the marble or the sand. So I'm just going to put the rest to one side and I'm opening it up to votes. So marble or sand, please. And let's see what just comes back. I'll just stand up. Oh, thank you, Sue, for blessing me. So shall we go with marble or sand? Let's have a look. I know there's always a delay, so I'm just waiting. Marble, thank you, Sylvia. We'll go with marble. It's a really lovely background. It's really super. Thank you, Carol. Oh, Lorna, you were too late. 3 for marble, so we're definitely going marble. Now, I have a design kind of in my mind. So in terms of planning, I didn't want to pre-make anything. I wanted to demonstrate to you all how sometimes I will case. So we've seen how I've cased something or got an idea. And in this instance, I'm using a sketch. So earlier I had to think about how I could stamp using DSP as the background and then add something over the top. So I did a bit of a sketch in my notebook. So that's what I'm going to use. Now, if you want to use a sketch, you can again use a search engine and look for card design sketches. And you will find a multitude of card design sketches. So what I'm going to do is just trim this marble down to start with to a kind of general regular size card layer. So we know that regular size cards are a half a piece of DSP, which is 10.5 wide by 15 long. And so I'm going to go 10 by 14 just to give us that step down slightly. So 10 centimetres by 14 centimetres. And I'm going to choose, actually I'm going to choose that bit because it's got more marble on it. Not that we're going to see very much once we've got our design on. So I've got 2 pieces there actually that are 14 by 10. I'm just going to leave those on my desk for a sec. And what we are going to do, I'm going to stamp a background with some leaves and a few flowers, and then I'm actually going to put another piece across the top with some more flowers on the top. So this isn't going to be a complete collage. We're going to have bring in some layers for this one, and I will actually just do a card base using the other piece of this soft succulent. So let me just see which one. So that one is my width. It's always awkward when I when I forget which way round I'm going. Yeah, that's right. So 15, and I'm going to score that at 10.5. So I've got my card blank, and that will help me to explain. So I'm going to put my layer of DSP on top of my card blank, and I'm going to stamp a background, and I'm going to actually build up another layer on top. So let's go with, actually the challenge was to stamp on DSP, so let's go with the one that's more patterned. And I will just bring in some scrap. I'm always hesitant to use my grid sheet because sometimes it makes my camera focus in and out too much, so I'm going to just use another piece of my plain scrap notepad. It's sometimes a pattern too far for the camera to focus in and out on the grid sheet, so I want to use some leaves this time. Now, we didn't use too many leaves from the Forever Fern, did we? So we might introduce some of those this time. But let's have a look. We had this one, that was the outline one from the Free as a Bird, and we had this solid leaf from Beautiful Friendship, and I do want to use Beautiful Friendship because I am so sad it's going, and I also want to use this wisteria piece. So I'm just juggling about a bit. We're not having a bird on this one, so let's just swap blocks. So let's go ahead and stamp a background with some leaves, and I'm going to start off with soft succulent. Just going to double check I am still in shot. Could do with coming down a little bit. That's good, so it's nearer me. Lovely. Oh, that's much more comfortable. Now I'm going to bear in mind that I'm going to have a strip of something or even a die cut piece in the middle. I'm not going to worry too much about it, so I'm sort of going to, my eye is going to work, if I take that away you'll see it a bit clearer. My eye is going to work from the centre upwards and the centre downwards, just for the moment. So I'm going to come in and stamp, just build that up a little bit. And I'm just kissing these together so that, and I'm going to just stamp off. So those leaves almost look like they're not floating in midair. I will just add another one up there. I don't want to go too mad with one. Let's build that background a little bit more, and I'm going to have a look at Evening Evergreen. Now I'm going to be really careful. You see two ink pads next to each other, both dark, and I can see the labels. Now a little trick I'm going to teach you when you get your new ink pads is on the back we have these labels, and I'm going to just give you a little tip if you've not thought of doing this before, and that's using one of the foreign language labels or even the one that's plain at the bottom. And when you open your ink pad, you see you put your English language one on the front. When you open your ink pad, you lay the colour into that strip there. It's fiddly, it's a bit static, but it doesn't need to be neat or straight, and because I can't see what I'm doing, I'm just going to look for something to help me. Just so that, well, I'm going to bring it closer to me so I can see what I'm actually doing. Just so that when you've got your ink pads open on your desk, you could tell which one is which, especially if you've got two colours that are very similar. So there's a little tip for you, and that stamp needs to be a bit further down there. So now I'm going to add another leaf in a different colour. This bit will be covered up, so I'm just adding a bit of a background, and I'm going to just add some colour. Fresh freesia, I think. We'll use some fresh freesia with this little. I'm just going to add a little bit of colour. I'm not sure how much of this we're going to see in the end. And again, I've no idea what this project will turn out like at all, because I've not practiced it before setting off. And often I like to make sure I've got samples so I can post them on Facebook to attract you in, and sometimes I actually enjoy the challenge myself. I said I was going to use some of these and I haven't done. What we could do. So far I've got my card base and a background piece. Now I want to put something across the front with my main images on, and for that I'm going to use, I did have a piece of Whisper White somewhere that I trimmed off. I'm going to bring my trimmer back in. There we are. We've got this long piece of Whisper White that I trimmed off from the other card. Now I want it to be thinner than that, so I want it to be 14 long. So I want it to be the same length as the DSP. But I'm going to actually take it down. I think I'm going to take it down to 5. Let's just see. It still might be. We'll take it down to 5 and we'll just position that on top. My thought was to run it across and then stamp some more images here. So we've just got this as a background. So that's working for me at the moment. It might look like I've just covered up quite a lot. And I might just restamp some of these leaves. This really is creativity happening in front of your eyes, because I have no idea what this is going to turn out like. And I'm also thinking of using this piece to stamp some other images that I may fussy cut and then just add on top. So let's bring this piece back in and let's add something else here, because when I cover it over with this strip, we're losing these solid leaves. So let's go back in. That was a 3 leaf, wasn't it? And we'll go back in with soft succulent. So yes, next week the new annual catalogue goes live on Tuesday the 4th. That's correct, isn't it? It is Tuesday, yes. And on Wednesday evening I'm going to do a live catalogue launch here on Facebook. It's going to be like a catalogue launch party. And if you can join me, that would be absolutely marvellous. I'm going to have some quizzes, some games, and there'll be prizes. I'll be showing and showcasing some new products, and I've got a couple of demonstrations as well that I'm going to be doing live. Now, any of my regular customers, obviously prior to pandemic, would know that I would do my live catalogue launch as an at-home party and invite people round to my home. And again this year, sadly, that's not going to happen. I'm just trying to think and talk at the same time and it's not working. So sadly, yes, once again, that's not going to happen. But I am going to do a live launch. I was trying to find where to put my stamps that I'm not using. I am going to do a live launch online here, so please join me if you can, and yeah, we'll have a bit of fun. I think I'm going to come in with this really big image actually, and I think I'm going to stamp it and then fussy cut it and lay it over the top of this piece and do some more stamping underneath. So stick with me, we'll get there in the end. I need a big block and I need my stamping pad. My stamping pierce mat, and I've tidied everything. I just clear everything to the side and now I can't find anything. It's the same every single time I'm live, without fail. Did I pick it up with my DSP? No. Put my trimmer on it. It was having a sneeze that did it. I've sneezed it away. Oh my goodness. What happened? I definitely need it. Look, this is a photopolymer stamp and it's a large surface area. Who stole it? Please talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right with you, I promise. This is really embarrassing and really irritating. I don't know about you, but I get really annoyed when I watch demonstrations and somebody loses something. Right, okay. I'm going to go for it without it because I can't find it, and this is holding everything. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my stamp and my mat from my Stamparatus, because that's a foam mat. There you go. Emergency over. Here we go. So I'm using a sponge mat from my Stamparatus, and I'm going to stamp this lovely big flower in polished pink, and we'll see what it looks like. It looks gorgeous. There, that was worth waiting for, wasn't it? And in this set we have these splodges for the centre of the flower as well. So again, I've run out of blocks. They're all in use. So I'm actually going to go in, I think, I'm just going to chuck every colour like this and go in with pale papaya and see what that looks like. I'm just going for it. Why not? Now what I think I'm going to do is very quickly fussy cut this image and see how we can layer this card up. I want to know if anyone else has been brave enough to stamp on DSP. Did you feel like it was brave? Didn't you think about it? Is it something that you do regularly, or would it be a challenge to you? I think I might have asked that question earlier and missed comments. I know in the Stampin' Up! Demonstrator Facebook group it's kind of been a reasonably controversial challenge. Some people sort of really scared of stamping direct onto DSP, and some others not. So I'm going to stamp, now I've got the position of this, and you can guess I'm going to try and put a sentiment over here. I'm going to actually try and stamp some leaves onto this piece and some leaves that I can fussy cut and layer up underneath. So let's go for it. Let me just have a quick check of. Is that, Carol, is that comment about me losing things? Is this like watching you crafting? Do you lose things? Who else? Oh, use a catalogue. Oh, that would be a good idea, Sylvia, to use a catalogue. It's a bit of sponginess, maybe not quite so spongy, but yeah, with photopolymer stamps, you especially a large surface area, you definitely need something. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's just pull this back in. Now I've got an idea of where this flower's going. I'm just going to pop a piece of scrap underneath this piece, and I'm going to put some more leaves on. Now this time, so this must be soft succulent because it hasn't got the label in the thing. So this time I'm going to use the other leaf. Oh, I could actually stamp another flower. Let's stamp another flower underneath. So we've got this rose bud. So we've got this rose here, and we could have a rose bud underneath, couldn't we? So let's stamp a rose bud here. But I'm going to take care to stamp the whole thing actually on this piece of white cardstock, because I don't want it to be hanging off the edge. I actually do want it to be underneath. I might stamp another one up there, or one down here. Let's just bring it back in. Yeah, I think I just want another one over there. So what would it be like if I stamped another one on top? Risky? Who knows? There's an emergency side. Too much maybe. Oh, I don't know. No, we'll go with it. We'll keep it. We'll keep it going. Let's keep it going, everyone. I've lost my double leaf. Oh no, I haven't. It's there. Panic not. So now this time I am going to allow the leaf to hang off the edge. I love those colours together. They're so nice. Just so nice. And I'm going to do a little one over there. And I'm going to stamp on my other piece of scrap white. I had this tiny piece of scrap white. I'm actually going to stamp a couple of them just randomly, and I'm going to stamp one of these darker ones in Evening Evergreen. And I'm going to quickly just fussy cut these. I've got stuff everywhere. I'm just going to close a couple of ink pads. Because you know it's good practice to keep your ink pads closed so they don't dry up. And also, it's, you know, if you do start spraying things, flicking other inks around like Wink of Stella, you're not contaminating your ink pads either. So it's always good practice to keep them closed when you're not using them. So I'm going to be placing an order on Friday of this week just to round off existing annual catalogue, and I will be placing another order next week. So that's 2 orders fairly close together, and that order next week obviously will be if you have a wish list of new things. If you watch my catalogue launch on Wednesday and you're inspired by any of my demonstrations or show and tells, and it will also include if you're going to join my online class Card in the Post or Class in the Post for May, I'll be taking orders so that I can order the products and the materials for the kits. And I've put an event post on my Facebook page and actually also on my Stampin' Up website with details of that Class in the Post. There are 2 price points, and what I'm trying to do is emulate how I used to run my in-person classes, and that was the class was always £12, and that included all your materials and refreshments and tuition. But if you placed an order on the evening for £20 or more, you got your class for free. Well, obviously in person you could come and use my stamp sets, my equipment, my ink pads, etc. And without doing in-person classes, I've had to try my best to emulate the pricing, but allow you to purchase the stamp set with the option of upgrading if there's a bundle involved, but gifting you the materials for free. So if you buy even just the stamp set, you will have the materials for the projects. Where's my other leaf? There it is. That we're making in the class for free. Now you can see how just building this up with a few leaves to overlap as well is now bringing this all together. Hopefully you can see that. Anyway, let me just start to lay that on to the card blank, and once I pop this flower up, I think you'll also see that start to come together. Just with those 3 extra leaves, it just lifts it, and then we're going to pop a sentiment here somewhere. So I'm going to start to actually stick that together, and we'll just remind ourselves of what we've done. So we've made a card blank in Soft Succulent, one of the new 5 new in colours. Oh, and I don't think we even used anything from here after all. Shall we go in and just have another couple of leaves? Choices, choices. Shall we call it a day? Shall we call it done? I think we will. We might just use those speckles because they're really nice. I do love a speckle. I do love a speckle. I think we will. Right, just pop a speckle on there. I do need my scrap back again. Don't lose the little leaves. We'll just pop those to one side. And we will just pop a speckle of pink, and that might just pull the background in as well because we've used a little bit of that fresh freesia. And by using our polished pink just on the background, I might just stamp it off first and stamp it on. They're just like ink spots really. And we'll just see what that looks like. just might pop. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's working for me anyway. So we chose our card blank colour. That over there. We chose our DSP, and let's remind ourselves this was a challenge to stamp onto DSP. So we chose our DSP with the help of my followers, and we stamped a background just to start with, and then we chose some neutral cardstock as another layer, stamped some more background and stamped a main focal image, and we're going to finish it off with some extra leaves just to give that dimension. So we're going to start to pull it all together and stick it down. I'm just looking at time, it's 9:45. So I really want to be finished for 9. I think we'll pop this layer straight across, flat, and then we're going to pop this flower up, and we'll have a think, but let's have a think about a sentiment. Let's see if we can fit that little sentiment there. I think that that's going to fit there. So I'm actually going to stamp that on before I stick it down. I'm just going to get rid of something off a block somewhere that's clean. I haven't got a clean block. I'll use this one. No, I'll use this one. And just mind my fingers, because I haven't got a clean block. And I'm going to go in with black. Excuse the top of my head if I was just leaning in a bit there. So not a die or a punch in sight this evening. We've just gone straight down with layering up and trimming, a bit of fussy cutting. So let's go in with our multi-purpose liquid glue. I've just noticed that these speckles actually match up as well. That was a happy accident, wasn't it? Now I'm going to find some dimensionals over here. So next week there won't be a Facebook Live like this, because I'm going to be doing my catalogue launch on Wednesday evening. So please do join me. I will put that up as an event or a reminder on my Facebook page about the time, etc. So please do join me if you can. It's going to be fun. I've got lots of prizes and things to give away. There's always a bit of fun involved. I've got some great prizes if you're placing orders on the evening, so you're going to get double bubble, and I will also have my retiring bog off list. So if you're familiar with my bog off list because you've been a customer for a few years, you will know that bog off means buy one get one free. So if you're placing an order with me for new products from the new catalogue, I'll have some of my retiring products that I'll be giving away to the same value for free. I think this needs a bit of bling. I don't know about you, but I always like to pop a bit of bling on. Now let me have a look what we got over here. A bit of all sorts of stuff over there. Now these are going to be retiring. These are the frosted and clear epoxy droplets. So I'm wondering what a droplet might look like. Let's have a see. It's not something I've used an awful lot of, but I quite like these frosted ones. And if you remember, we can actually colour these using the blends. And I don't have the blends currently in the new in colours because they were unavailable at first for the pre-order for demonstrators. They're now in stock. But what colours could we use to actually blend in? We could go subtle and kind of just darken these to a grey colour. So I've got light grey granite, but I had my dark grey granite out because we've got some grey in dark grey granite. We've got some grey in the marble. So let's just colour them and see whether that makes a difference. It's a bit of an experiment. Not sure that's making much of a difference. So that was a live on camera experiment that didn't work. So let's go in and have a look at a pink. What have we got here? We've got Melon Mambo. See what we can do with a Melon Mambo. I'll just give those a second to dry. Because it's alcohol, they dry pretty quickly. So let's have a look and see what these frosted droplets look like. I'll have one there. And we can have one down here. Don't think about it, just put it down. There you go. Smashing. Happy with that. Yes, so these are the frosted and clear epoxy droplets, and they're in the annual catalogue, and they are retiring as well. They've not carried over into the new bling in the new annual catalogue. So I've got a little stack actually of bling here that's going to be retiring. These gold glitter enamel dots, they've been lovely. I've really liked them. They're retiring. Oh, these resin heart embellishments. Now these are in the January to June mini catalogue, so they're going to be around until the end of June, but they're not carried over into the new annual catalogue, and you can see that you can colour the white ones as well as I've done there. And these Star Designer elements are not carried over. They're quite cute. I've used those quite a bit on kids cards actually. And what have I got in tubs? Oh, ladybug. Oh, the ladybugs have not carried over. So they're available to the end of June, but they've not carried over. Oh, look, I've stuck one on a glue dot, just so you can see it. So if you love the ladybugs, get them now. And these are the Clever Clasps, which I've had and never used. Oh, and they're quite nice on a 3D. I've got glue. Ink all over me, a 3D or a bookmark or something like that. They're lovely. I really love them with a piece of, on a tag with a piece of ribbon on the top. They look really super. So let me bring in my two cards for this evening using the new in colours. Let's have a look at them on camera. Let's pop them in the middle and we can look at them. Oh, I need to go back through comments because Carol does something all the time and Sue does too, and I can't remember what that was. Probably losing things, including marbles, I'm sure. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the demonstration of challenge of stamping onto DSP, and I know that that was quite a neutral DSP, but please, I challenge you to have a go. And collage stamping, so that's just stamping with lots of different images, just choosing a colour palette. I'm just going to swing you back round and say a few goodbyes. Bear with me. It's like Dragon's Den, you need to just talk to the wall for a moment. Let me just get you straight and then swing you back round. And here I am, I'm back in the room. Thank you once again for joining me this evening. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope that I've inspired you to firstly find a design, whether it's fabric or someone else's card, a gift shop card, and just have a go at casing it. Just remember, it's only a piece of paper. You're not going to ruin anything. You're not stamping onto a wall or anything that you've got to cover up. Just get your cardstock out and have a go. Find some colours that really appeal to you and pull them together and just have a bit of a random stamp. And I'm sure that you'll come up with some gorgeous designs. And if you do, please share and let me see what you've been making. And I also challenge you to have a go at stamping onto designer series paper. I'm going to try and be a bit more brave and find a bit of a bolder pattern and stamp on the top of that as well. And I'll post up some of my makes if I do make some. I'll post them on my page. So thank you again for joining me. Please join me next Wednesday evening at 7:30. I'll be here live doing a catalogue launch. I've got loads of prizes, lots of fun challenges and competitions and quizzes and all kinds of things going on. No doubt there'll be some disasters and things will fall on the floor and I'll probably lose things as we go along, but it's going to be fun. I guarantee that. We always have to have some fun. So until then, please stay safe, keep crafting, lots of love. Bye for now. Bye.